There's a fracture happening right now between those who create for a living. And if you found your way here, maybe you felt it too. On one side, there are those who are sprinting forward using the new tools, the AI models, and the automation, and all of the shortcuts around traditional struggle and craft and process that didn't exist 2 years ago. And they're moving fast because the tools let them move fast, and because the clients and their stakeholders don't care how they made it or that it's perfect. They just care that it exists. And on the other side, there are those who have stopped, who are asking the questions, and the questions about ethics and about the importance of art and of craft and about what it means to make something with your hands versus making something with a prompt. And they're not wrong to ask. These are very legitimate questions, and I believe that they're important ones. But somewhere in between those two sides, there are the rest of us, the ones whose focus revolves around a family to feed or rent that doesn't care about our moral framework, whose obligations and immediate responsibilities simply outweigh our desire to preserve and retain the way we've learned and invested in doing things in our role and industry in the past, who are now faced with clients and managers who just need the thing finished. We're not philosophers or lawyers or judges. We're just people trying to make a living by making things, by taking our creativity and offering that as a service or building a product and offering that up to the market and to make a living from that. And right now, that is harder than it's been in a long time because no matter what your perspective is, whether you should or whether you shouldn't, you can't fight progress. You can debate it, you can slow it down, and you can refuse to participate, but you can't stop it. The tools exist now, regardless of where the hype cycle sits or whether the degree of hype is even justified and maybe even sees a correction and a pendulum swing back in the other direction. Regardless of any of that, these new tools and the market's desire to leverage them is not going away. And I think it's easy to reduce things created with these new tools as slop, to discount them by the things that they can't currently do, or by a subjective merit of the work put into them behind the scenes. But every month they get better and they get more accessible and cheaper and easier to get to a passable result, especially for an untrained audience. So, what do you do when you care about the craft, but you also care about paying your rent right now? And what do you do when you love the process, but the process is becoming increasingly optional? Now, I know this is very much a personal take, but I never cared much about the how. I cared more about the thing, or maybe more importantly, the impact of the thing. I wanted to make films growing up, to write stories and design games, and to create worlds that would give others the same feelings of being connected that I felt in the books and movies and games that shaped my taste. And I want to make things that unlock those moments for others that I felt laying on the couch with my family once a week, where we would just take a moment out of our lives, no matter what was happening out in the world, and to just bond over the latest Star Trek episode, or when my brother and I would find an overlap in our interests as we played whatever the latest game was. For me, the tool was never the point. The point was always what I could make with it. But now the tool is the entire conversation. And if I'm being honest, it's exhausting. Not because I picked a side necessarily, but because I'm standing in the middle watching both sides become more certain and entrenched and divided, and this thing that was supposed to bring us together is splitting us apart. And I think the people racing forward will be fine. I think they're already becoming fine, and they're figuring out how to adapt, and adaptation is survival as a creative who wants to make a living with what they create. And the people who stopped, I believe and I hope that they'll be fine too, maybe in a different way. They'll find and develop communities and spaces for their craft. But the ones in the middle, we're just tired. We're tired of defending choices we didn't want to make, of feeling behind and feeling guilty at the same time. But here's what I know for certain. 10 years from now, None of this will look the same. The tools will be different, the debates will be different, and the dividing lines will have moved. And the only thing that will stay constant is that making and creating things for a living will still be hard, just differently hard. Now, it wasn't really designed to, but I recognize that this video won't pull anyone from one side to the other. But if you're exhausted right now, if you're like me and you're somewhere in the middle just trying to figure out what is right while also just trying to survive, I want you to know that you're not alone in that. And maybe that's all we can offer each other right now in this community. We might not have all of the answers or a promise or certainty, but we can have just plain and simple acknowledgement that this moment is hard for all of us who create things for a living. So if you felt seen in this video, drop a comment down below to let others know that we're in this together. And thank you for being here, and I'll catch you in the next one.